Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. We're back with Cooking with Some Friends, and Bryan, earlier we did a video that he made the beanless chili. It's still simmering, it'll be ready before long. To go with that, he is going to make some Dutch oven jalapeno cheddar bread. And so that's the recipe we're going to do now. We did some things ahead, but I'll let him explain to you what we did ahead of time.
Okay, so basically, it's a pretty easy bread. You take 3.5 cups of bread flour, put that in a bowl. Then you take two cups of cheddar cheese, shredded cheddar cheese. We use sharp cheddar cheese in ours. Um, you mix that all together. And then you dice up some jalapenos, and you throw that in there as well. After you do that, I think we use what, 2 jalapenos?
I did.
Yeah, 2 jalapenos in there. So it's going to be kind of a spicy bread to go along with the spicy chili. Then you take 2 cups of warm water, not hot because it'll kill the yeast, and 1 packet of instant yeast. You take the warm water and put it in a bowl with the yeast, and then you dump the flour, the cheddar, and the jalapeno all in with that. And then you stir it, which is what she has done. And you can see
it's a really wet dough.
It's a very wet dough. So once she's incorporated all that, you put a towel over it in a warm spot for an hour. Let it rise until it's doubled in size. Then you take a spatula of some sort. Not a spatula is huge. But you fold it into the middle and you turn and you fold it and you do that 8 times. Then you cover it again and let it rise for another 30 minutes. We have let it go a little longer than that because I had to put a kid down for a nap. But this is where we're at. That's what the dough looks like. It is a very wet dough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lightly flour the surface, and we're going to dump this out on it. So I need to get some flour down on the surface.
Like Bryan said, we used bread flour, which if you want to use all-purpose flour, it probably will work fine. It doesn't have as much protein or as much gluten in it, so it's not quite as strong and as elastic. So all-purpose flour works great if you're making light rolls and that kind of thing, but bread flour really if you're making a heartier bread.
And you might want some flour on your hands for this too. I got it on the top of your Dutch oven. Because, like we said, this is a pretty wet dough, and it is going to be sticky. As we get this out, you'll see that it is very, very wet, very sticky. But look how stretchy that is. You can get it all out. See, my fingers are sticking.
Good thing
to
you
it.
had some flour on it.
Yeah. Just gotta get the rest of this out of there. If you don't get it all, it's not a huge deal, but the more of this you get, the better your bread's going to be.
And you have another Dutch oven similar to the one we're
Yes.
using already preheating in the oven,
Right.
correct?
Right.
Okay.
And then it's preheating at 450 degrees in the oven because after we work this for a second, we are going to put it on parchment paper and then put it in the Dutch oven on the parchment paper, and we'll bake it for 30 minutes at 450. We'll take the Dutch oven out, take the lid off of it, and put it back in for about another 20 minutes. So with this, we're just going to try to work it a little bit, and we're going to flip it over here in just a second.
So you're not really kneading it, you're just making it easier to handle.
I'm making it kind of a ball right now, and then we're going to flip it. And then basically what we're doing is we're going to fold this to the center 8 times. And then we're going to make it into a ball, and then we're going to do some more stuff to it.
So you're folding it to add air into it.
Yes. So fold it to the middle. Fold it to the middle. There's 2, 3, and it, as you can see, it's very sticky. 4, 5, and this is kind of messy, so if you have kids, they might like this too. 6.
Alternative to Play-Doh.
Right. 7, oh, that's real sticky. And then 8. And then we're going to flip it over again. I'm going to move some more flour so it doesn't stick to your countertop. We're going to just kind of make it into a ball. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some I'm gonna wash my hands. We're gonna put some olive oil on top of that if you want to do that while I
How
get this off.
much does
Just a bit, just enough to lightly brush it with olive oil, because basically what we're doing here is we're doing that to make the cheese stick to the top of it.
Okay. Well, it'll also make a nice crust on there, won't
Yes, it's a nice crusty bread. If you want to say it that way.
Brian's wife Taylor loves breads, so even with jalapenos on it, huh?
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring this over. Can you lift that up by any chance?
Good question.
And we will set this under it.
There you go.
And now we'll take about a half cup of cheddar cheese. This is mild because we ran out of sharp. But
I prefer mild anyway over
it
sharp.
just depends
Yeah.
on what you're doing with it. But you just take the half cup or so and you just sprinkle it on top. If some falls off, it's not a big deal. We're putting the whole piece of paper and everything in there, so it's not really going to matter. Then we're going to take our knife, and make sure you have a sharp knife, and you're just going to cut in an X pattern here, just to score this and let some of that steam out as it bakes. You don't have to cut super deep. It's like we said, it's just scoring it to let that steam out.
Yeah, the yeast will create carbon dioxide, which makes it rise, and if it doesn't have a vent of some sort, it
Right, and
trapped.
Yep, and then we're going to take a jalapeno, and you can do whatever. But I like to get about 8 slices out of it.
And seed and all. Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7. And obviously, some of these are going to be bigger than others. And then you're just going to put a couple of them on each of those sections. And this is more for decoration than anything, just because it makes it look nice. And we will show you. I did one last night. That we can show you once we get this one in the oven. It didn't turn out as puffed up as I wanted it to be, for lack of a better term.
Do you think it was your yeast, or?
But no, I think it was my oven wasn't preheated all the way. So then, whenever I went to put it in, it sat out for a while before I got to put it in the oven. So we will take this and we will put it in the oven. I don't know if they can see the oven, but I'll turn you for a second. So we're gonna get this Dutch oven out of the oven. Do you have something to set it on? Okay. Anywhere's fine. And then we're just gonna pick this whole thing up on this piece of parchment paper and just drop it in, and then we'll put the lid back on the Dutch oven. And just be very careful because it is very hot.
And heavy.
And heavy. Those Dutch ovens are super heavy. So we just pick the whole thing up. Plop it right down in, and then it doesn't matter, the parchment paper can stick out a little bit, it can be all in there.
Open my oven door.
Yep.
Here, you do this, because it's heavy.
Okay. And then we'll bake this at 450 for 30 minutes. And then, once that's done, we'll pull it out, we'll take the lid off and bake it for another 20 minutes just to get a good crust on the top. And at the end of that time, it will look something like this. She's bringing it over. This is a little flatter than the other ones I've made. Again, I think it's because I didn't get it in the oven quick enough.
Can you cut that open?
But yeah, we can cut it open. I got my jalapeno knife right here.
Oh no, that's a little more extra heat.
So we can cut a chunk off of this. Wish I had a serrated. This is a very
I should have very
crusty knife. Crusty bread. So it is going to be nice and airy inside, and it's really, really good. So I like it with the chili because you can dip it in to sop up some of that juice.
Yeah, that chili's looking good.
Yep. So that's basically how you do that. I found that recipe on Tasty. I actually saw a video of it on Facebook and thought it looked really good, and I had made it once previously, And it turned out pretty well. This one's a little flatter, but it's still, I'm sure, going to taste good.
It's going to taste really good with that chili.
But yeah, pretty easy bread. I'm not much of a baker typically, but that recipe was an easy one, and it turns out really well.
Okay. So I hope you enjoy both these recipes and give them a try. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.